you'll be fine. So recording, that's recording, that's done. Great. So for those who are watching this back, so welcome to Angela Allen. She's currently head of education, and she's been on maternity cover now for some time. Angela, is that right?
Yeah, since April. Yeah.
Since April. So thanks for joining us then. And it's an opportunity just to run through the level 3 qualification for the DIP FD. So if you're happy, Angela, can I hand over to yourself then, just have a run through about what we're expecting, where we're at, and just procedures, processes, and everything you know to date. Is that okay?
Yeah. Karen Burton's organised the date for everybody, so I don't have that information in front of me, apart, but I can let you know what that is.
Okay. What's that for? Sorry, what's that
for the actual date of the exam for everyone?
Yeah.
For individuals.
Sorry, yeah. Oh, okay, so everyone's got the week to reserve.
Right.
So have you said the dates are the dates sorted now?
Karen Burton's organising the dates, yeah. So as all the registrations have come in, she's allocating days and times. Okay. So if you've not been notified as yet, Amelia and Kay, don't panic, because that will come very shortly. So it's quite a logistical process that we go through to ensure everybody's obviously allocated a time and a day that's right, and this, that and the other. So, but I'm conscious of the fact, I mean, John's asked me to join you tonight just to talk a little bit about the I guess really about this qualification, but more about the examinations. The one thing that I've always said about these things is not to panic, and it's easy for me to say that when I'm not on the receiving end, I know, but the reality is that you actually do know more than you think you know, and nobody's there to trip you up in any way, shape or form. So my advice with this is that, I mean, when John was saying that it's a new program, it's an updated program. It's still about the funeral directing, so we can't mistake the fact that topic stays as it is. What has changed, I guess, is that the units have been updated, and the one that you've been working to, this level 3, the updated version, has of course had the activities in, and then the portfolio side of things to do. How have you found that, by the way? I mean, I'm interested to hear from you as well as to how you found the actual structure.
I enjoy the coursework. I like doing that because there was a lot of units, for instance, because I'm relatively new, as in for 4 years, there's a lot of elements that I'd not covered. So it was a good learning process, and I did enjoy returning the activities.
Oh, that's good. What about yourself, Kay?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed all of it, and I hanged John immensely with questions and feedback. And as a group, I think, and I have said this to John previously, we worked and bounced off each other really well. So like Eleanor's saying, she's fairly new in the environment and there's things she hasn't worked on, but there are others in the group that have, and we could really bounce off each other. So it worked with the portfolios and how it's set out. So really enjoyed it.
Oh, great. Well, that's good news. I'm pleased to hear it. So, well, look, this back end of things now in terms of preparing for the examinations, I think the best way to look at this, and I've sent a document through to John today, which just highlights the assessment outcomes for each of the units. So, the syllabus, John's been going through the learning materials with you for each of these different units, and all I've done in effect is just lift out what the testing is for each unit. And my advice to you basically is to just go through each one, and with or without John, or without other people, and see whether or not you feel comfortable in coming up with the answers to each of the criteria. So in any examination, then not everything will come out, not everything will be asked, but rather than reading the learning materials chapter and verse and trying to memorize them, which some people do, and I mean some people are good at that, and other people, if it's something like me, I forget as soon as you get a paper in front of me, it's gone. But I think the most structured way of doing this will be to say, right, for each unit, are you able to give an informed answer for each of the assessment outcomes? And if you're not, don't worry, because you've still got time. So for each one, just go back to the unit learning materials. And what I'd say is just sort of do a cross matching between the two. And just but rather than looking at the answers to start with, put your own answers down, the way that you would answer this particular way of questioning, and then look back at the learning materials. The end assessment, the online assessment, is that's a new way for us, because previously it's been very much about having written papers and and all the rest, whereas this is more, it's structured slightly different, so that it is a mix and match of different types of questions. So some might say identify, some might give you a multiple choice of answers that you then select from. Some might say put into logical order, so you've got different statements and you put those into some sort of an order. Others might be about just making sense of a piece of information. So the structure of the exam, because it's online, is different to what other people have gone through, but it's the same content at the end of the day. It's the same technical knowledge that you need to do the role. And as I say, I think if you approach, so if you go through, like, for example, Unit 1, this one about the commercial environment, the first one's about identifying the role and the functions of the funeral director. Well, that's a typical one where you look at what's in the learning materials. And what I'd say to you is just look at, well, how do you apply that in daily life? Because on one hand, you've got what we've got here are the technical questions about the master of ceremonies and the custodian of the deceased and all the rest of it. But it's also about how does that apply. For the written side of things, it's the technical knowledge that you'll be marked against. But for example, the professional discussion, and I'll talk a little bit more about the professional discussion in a short while, but that's more about the icing on the cake. But hand on heart, you won't be asked anything over and above what's on these units, because this is what was in the syllabus. So practice it, whether it be between yourselves or with others, with John. And if you've got any gaps, then that's a good thing, because then that'll help you for preparing for your exam, and you'll be able to walk in knowing you have done as much as you can in terms of preparation. And that's the key, having that confidence. And I think having sat with people, having sort of worked on the examination side for certainly some time, everybody comes in with nerves, and it's so normal to be like that, because it's an alien environment. But this time you're in front of a PC answering questions, and I think you need to just keep in your minds you are good at the jobs that you do, otherwise you wouldn't be doing those jobs, and you do what you do naturally. This is a test. Sorry, John.
No, just a question. So thanks, Ange. That's really helpful. And I agree, nerves is the biggest thing really that people can get sort of stuck on. So just try being as confident as you can and prepare as much as you can. Regarding the computer side and actually how the test is completed with the written, is it possible just to run through the actual practicalities of that, please, Angela?
Well, there's guidance for this, John, as well. There's online guidance that we can share with you in advance as well.
Great.
So the front end of it, it goes through the different, so it helps you understand these different types of questioning. I'll be quite open and honest with you. I've not done it for myself because I'm actually covering for another person. Okay. So hand on heart, I haven't done it for myself, but my understanding of the system, the front end of it, is that there is the positioning of the types of questions and how long, how long you have. In totality, the duration of the exam is 2.5 hours. And the reason it's 2.5 hours, and that sounds a long time, but it also gives time to get used to the system as well. And because the one thing we don't want people to fear is that they haven't got time to answer the question before the next side of it comes through. So, and you've got control of that, moving that along, so to speak. It's not as though you've only got so many seconds to answer and then it moves on to the next. You control the next page, so to speak. What I will ask for is a paper guidance document that shows you what you're going to expect to see. But as I say, there's nothing about this that, as I understand it, that should phase you. If you're used to using a computer, you log on, and and what comes up is like an introduction, and then the access to the actual examination as well. So.
Yeah.
Just quickly, Angela, with the DIP FAA, we use the test reach system.
Yeah.
I'm presuming that's going to be the same sort of outlay this time. So with that one, what Karen did was sent us a test link so that we could all get it set up on our laptops or devices that we're going to use.
Right.
We're allowed to log in as many times as we wanted to get used to using the system. Can that be done again this time?
Yeah, it can. If it's done once, if it's done once before, it can certainly be done again. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And then going forward, and Angela, regarding, so that's the written test there. So obviously Kay's got experience of that, and there'll be a chance to do like a test run of that. The professional discussion, so this is a sort of new side to it then. So the questions, as you stated, will be just questions asked the students, which they've already covered on that list that I've sent over to them all today. There'll just be things picked out of those, which they've covered. We've covered it all in the coursework. It's all in their syllabus. So there's nothing that they'll be asked which they haven't been, which they haven't covered in the course, basically.
Yeah, I mean, the purpose of this professional discussion, because you've had so many activities to do for the different units, and there's about 4, isn't there, for each unit, and then that completes this portfolio. In effect, at the end of it, the portfolio, so the professional discussion examination is only half an hour, and it's to and the examiner will pick on 3 different areas, and it could be any one of these units. But basically, if you put yourself in the shoes of the examiner, what they're actually looking for is to ensure that if asked a question about the topic, whether it be about, standards of professional practice and the premises that you work in, whether it be about exhumation or whether it be about bequeathal, whichever topic it is, that you understand what the certainly with where the process involved, what the process is, what the documentation is that to be used, and what the legislation that sits behind it is as well. And it's your opportunity to be able to explain of the activities that you've done, how you've gone about them, sort of what questions you've asked, what challenges you've found, things that you might have found a bit of a stretch and how you've sort of overcome that, or things that you found potentially that is sort of second knowledge, it's like just ordinary knowledge to you. But if you put yourself in the examiner's shoes with a professional discussion, it's like the icing on the cake. So what they're doing in effect is just testing out that what you've compiled in your portfolio is your own work in effect. It's your words, it's your work. And what they're not going to be expecting you to do is have your portfolio in front of you and look at particular pages or parts of it. But so because that really won't be appropriate. But what they're doing, so whatever the line of questioning will be very conversational and more about, tell me, how have you done this? Just give me some examples of, and it'll be very much about a conversation with you about the topic in reality, in your, what you do. Now, it might be that some of this bequeathal, for an example, might be something that you've not had any direct experience of, but if you're asked about it, it's about being able to demonstrate that in any one situation, you would know what to advise the client, how to go through the process, and the involvement of the funeral director as well.
So again, it's all stuff that we've covered, isn't it, really? So there's nothing here which we haven't done, which is the key thing. And again, it's not done in a cold way. The conversation's positive. It's just a discussion, like you say.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's online. I mean, so it's like us now, talking. I mean, I know we're not in a formal setting, so to speak, but the examiners, don't forget, they've all been through qualifications themselves in one way, shape or form, and they themselves, they're very aware that it's not always easy. So they'll encourage you, if they feel that and don't be afraid if you do get stuck or you're a little bit like not sure, don't be afraid to ask the question, or at least just ask them if you can have a minute so to just think. But really, at the end of the day, it is only 30 minutes. It might seem a lifetime at the time, but 30 minutes will soon go. And there are only so many questions that can be asked in that time. But really, the clue to all of this is the preparation, and from what you're saying, there's been a lot of preparation already done. Work your way through the units and put yourself in the shoes of, if I was asked about any bit of this, what would I say and how do I go about it? And that's really putting, I suppose, theory into practice, so to speak.
That's good. Well, even this, Angela, is good preparation, isn't it, really? Just, again, it just helps us further know what to expect, so thank you.
I think it's natural as well in any exam situation where, you know, afterwards, and I think we all do it, you think, oh, crikey, I didn't say this, or I missed that, or I should have answered that differently. And we beat ourselves up. It's a natural human instinct to do it. And if you find yourselves doing that after the exam, let it happen, because it's normal and natural. But it doesn't mean to say that you've done a bad job. What it's doing is you're just analysing the way you've gone about things.
And I've said as well, the examiners don't want to fail people. You know, they're not after that, are they? They want to work with people.
Yeah.
They can't really help people. They can't really give them answers, but they're going to, you know, they're not there to trip people up or sort of want to see them fail. The opposite. They want to see people pass.
Very
So,
much so, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, if they're not sure, if you're sort of not coming across as though you know the topic or the knowledge that surrounds it, they will ask you questions to try, and in sort of indirect ways to sort of draw it out of you. And it'll be in a supportive way as well. So, but again, don't be afraid of that. Just try and relax and think, you know what? This is my job. I do this. I've worked hard. I spent all the time with John, and this is now me, the time just to let it all flow out.
It's not arrogant, but like, I think use this opportunity. I'll be like, you want to question me? I know my stuff. Stand by. I want to show you now. So, use this opportunity to show how good you are. People on the course, the level of communication in the class, it was fireworks and some sessions. So it's now the examiners all work in the industry. So just go and show them now how good you are. And that's what I think what needs to happen, really. So yeah, don't be intimidated by them. Remember, they work in the industry. They are equals to us. They're not better than you. Make sure you remember that as well.
So have you got any questions over and above what I've sort of gone through myself? And how you feel?
I've got a contentious one, and it is going to be contentious, I think, is the whole level 3, level 4 thing. Can we do anything about it? Because we're already at a disadvantage in comparison to the next intake. Is there anything we can do? Because we'll be paying the same amounts of money, doing the same amount of activities, the same discussion, the same exam, but disadvantaged by level 3V, level 4.
Right, I absolutely understand where you're coming from with this, and I'm very aware of the fact that some changes were put into place quite quickly, and that it really didn't help people in some respects. The reality is that just now, what I'm going to recommend to you is that go through this and come out with the end result. I think I can't answer the question for you just at the moment, because there's a lot more work to be done, but I think the level 3 stands its own test of time anyway, and always has done. Now, yes, there will be people on some now going through the level 4. The assessment criteria on the level 4 in some cases, I mean, it's the same topic, but the assessment criteria does differ. And it might be that as time goes by, that the NFD are able to look at a process that bridges where you end up with this, as opposed to the level 4. So as I say, I can't give you the answers just yet, but we're very much aware of it, very much aware. So
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Angela. Kay, any questions?
Yeah, in terms of obviously the written online exam, say you have to list 6 items of the code of practice out of 10, but you say get 4 right and the others are wrong. Does the whole question get failed, or do you get points for the right answers that you list in that criteria?
Yes, you do. Yeah. You don't. It's not one strike and you're out if you get one thing wrong. No, the marking will mark where things are answered correctly as well. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I thought it was just going to be you didn't answer the 6, so the whole question's wrong. So
no.
I think looking at my questions, I think the only other one I was going to ask is, say for instance you do fail the exam in October, but you immediately want to resit it. Can you immediately resit it, but do you also have to pay for the resit?
So you're only able to sit the next time the exams are scheduled.
That would be, say, next March.
Next March, right. Yeah. So, and in terms of there is a fee for resit, yes, but what we do, I mean, I think anything to do with anybody that doesn't get through in terms of moderation, that's looked at very closely, very closely. And when John was saying about the examiners, I mean, in credit to them, the one thing that they do is look for any well, consistency of marking is one of them, and they also look across the paper as to where you may be borderline, and if there's borderline they will upmark. It's not about penalising people. They do give people the benefit of the doubt. Clearly if things are way out, then that's a different kettle of fish, and then but if ever we get any borderline fails, those are picked up straight away to look at. But the moderation process, and that's where the scrutiny really does come into it, and it's looked at by other examiners as well. So it's not just the ones that's done that particular marking. I mean, the system will mark this as well. So in effect, you've got like a double marking system going on. So yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen, Kay. But yeah, but there is another opportunity to for ESIT.
Yeah. Okay.
We've got a little bit of a year of transition taking place in some respects, because we have got people like yourselves on this programme. Believe it or not, we've got people from the previous programme as well. So, and then we've got some on the new. So there's a lot of different sort of assets to this taking place. But again, it's a big change process that we've all gone through, and for that very reason, then we have to be reasonable and make sure that people are treated fairly. So.
Okay.
Thanks, Angela. Any more questions at all, guys? Nothing from me at all. Can't think of any more for Angela.
No.
Okay, well, just a big thank you, Angela, for your time. It's really helpful.
Welcome. You're welcome, and I hope it helps. I'll talk to Karen about the actual test of the link, the test link that you mentioned to me, and we'll get that to you. So I'm sorry I couldn't answer your question about that sort of front end of it, but Karen Burton, she'll know it inside out. So
Great.
So bear with me on that one, and
but she'll email all the guys directly, will she, as well, with this information? Angela?
Oh, sorry, it froze from when then. Oh, yeah.
Saying, so will Karen email all the guys directly? Is that the plan with that for the front ends for the information? How
I think she'll go through. She'll do it through the tutors, John.
Through me.
She'll
Great.
do that
That's
through
brilliant.
tutors. Yeah.
Just so I know what to expect. That's all. That's great.
No. I'll talk to her in the morning about that.
Thank you. That's great.
All right, then. Well,
that attachment as well, that's been sent on to everyone today as well. So thanks for that today. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this recording for people should help understand how to use it. But it's for me, it's like just a bit of a reference document that you can look at and think, can I answer that question? So
yeah, great.
And don't worry if there's things you can't answer, because there's time to look at it. That's the big quit. That's the big A. Don't worry. Right. Thanks for inviting me, John. Good luck. And we'll see you at the awards, shall we? Let's think positive.
See you all there. Yeah. See you all there.
Okay. All right then. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.